Hey everybody, it's Ian here with the Snapkeep channel, bringing you a video on Dimir Amass. We'll be doing a standard deck tech and a few matches with it, showing you how it works. It's very similar to the deck that Saffron Olive did earlier this week, and we have a few differences in our sideboard, I would say. Main deck is exactly the same. We really have to focus on the Amass mechanic. We're using the 2 mana enchantment that amasses for 1 if you pay 1 life. That's our 2-drop. We also have a Thought Erasure to attack our opponent's hand, Treasure Map to kind of find our threats and fix our draws. We have a singleton copy of Kefret in the main. It's kind of just an advantage card. It's really good against the grindy mid-range kind of games. Gives us that extra advantage when we draw that card. We also have the rule package in the Dimir destroy converted mana cost 3 or less, and cast down. We really have a few only finishers. We have Kefnet, we have the Gleaming Overseer, which is a mass, and we can kind of get damage through with the Menace mechanic. And we also have 2 Liliana Dreadhorde General, really effective creature, very good in almost any kind of creature matchup. Really like her. It's 6 mana. I feel like it's kind of hard to get to that sometimes, but it's definitely really good when you get to resolve. I've really enjoyed playing with the Lilianas. In the sideboard, we have 2 Duress for control matchups. We have the black mythic. I can't remember its name honestly, and that just kind of wipes out creatures, white strategies, white, mono red, a couple negates, and that's really for control. You bring those in for control. We have 2 cries for go wide strategies. And we have 3 Narset, which is really important. I actually really enjoy playing with Narset. It's really good against control, good against the Gates deck, as we'll see, and pretty good against anything that's looking to draw cards. Another cast down for more creature hate, and a couple extra God Eternals on the board, and then 1 more Kefnet for more mid-range grindy matchups. Now this isn't the exact deck that I used today in the video. I had, instead of the Kefnet, I had a what did I have? I had 1 less cry, I had an extra negate, and I had the finale for black. That's 2 more than I had 3. So that's the same exact deck tech that Saffron Olive just did. I was using that deck. Didn't actually copy it from him, found it online first. And I was trying that deck out, but I think this is the change I'd make to play this deck now. It's pretty dominant, I think, against the more aggressive type decks if you can get a good hand with lots of removal, and you can also kind of curve out perfectly with Thought Erasure into a 3 mana zombie, that the 1/4 that makes a token, and it's a really easy curve, and then you could fix your draws with Treasure Map. And so if you're not getting pressured too much, if you're playing slower, grindier matchups, this deck's been a lot of fun, and it's pretty decent price, $281, 71 tickets on Magic Online. It's not bad. I definitely would consider picking this deck up for standard. It's a ton of fun, but definitely not 100% there yet. I think there's a few changes I can make to the deck, or that we'll see later into the standard season, that this deck is definitely not 100% there. It's good, but it's not 100% there. It kind of is, it's slow, it fumbles in the beginning. I feel a lot of times it's just not fast enough against a lot of mono red and mono white. I think it can kind of go wide too quickly. Maybe some more cries, that's why I put an extra cry in. It'd be interesting to see what other people think about what the board should be like, or maybe even playing something different in the main deck, maybe cutting Treasure Map for those more aggressive matchups if you see them more often. I just feel like the MTGO metagame is really strongly favored towards aggressive strategies. I just think that's kind of what it feels like when I play a lot of leagues. It's much more red aggro, much more gruel, and not so much mono blue, but you see more aggressive strategies in general. I saw a lot of Feather playing this deck, and this deck doesn't play very good against Feather. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to be doing this deck tech, and it's been a long time since I put out a video on this channel. I've been crazy busy with school, and so is Justin. And we're looking to do some more videos. I'm sure we're going to be getting more out during the summer. We're going to be doing more recordings and stuff like that. We're going to be playing a lot more together. We're going to be traveling. So there's a lot more stuff coming to the channel. So I hope you guys stick around. And if you do like the video, please subscribe to the channel for more. We're going to be putting out content, whether it's every single month or once a week. We'll be putting stuff out eventually on that channel. And we're going to get into the matches real quick. And if you do have any comments or questions about the deck, just leave a comment. I'd love to see if anybody has any suggestions for the board or main deck, possibly what else I could possibly run. That'd be really cool to see and have a discussion in the comments about that. And We're going to get into the gameplay in just a second right here. So the first match, we get our opening hand, and this is a perfectly fine keep, I'd say. You get the treasure map on 2, you have the Soul Diviner. It depends on what you play. I would say if you're playing a more aggressive strategy, we would play Soul Diviner on turn 2. If not, we can just treasure map, and then we can fix our draw, or we can keep our draw, and we can just play Gleaming Overseer, kind of curve out, and then we have Vraska's Contempt for any kind of mid-range or problematic creatures we might have on the board. So we see Mountain and we see Fanatical Firebrand, so we know we're playing mono red right off the bat. I mean, honestly, I don't like this matchup at all for this deck. I think it's a little too fast. Just taking a drink of my lemonade. So we're gonna go. I'm thinking over the play, and I'm gonna go Soul Diviner. I think I want to make them maybe eat a burn spell into it, or we can block the Fanatical Firebrand potentially. It's just kind of a good blocker for 2 mana to get a 2/3. It makes them have to use a burn spell to get rid of it. They can't just shock it. So I like it as a blocker. Runaway Steamkin is definitely something we want to get rid of. We want to kind of destroy that. It can be problematic. It makes blocking harder. So we're just going to use the cast down, and we're going to destroy Steamkin. And I definitely should have destroyed Steamkin. Looking back on my play now, I don't know if I agree with this. I'm guessing that I could block still potentially. I want to see maybe if he has a Chain Whirler, and I could scry, and I could start to get counters, making mana, and I could potentially play much more creatures and much more threats. So I guess I'm playing for the long run right now. I feel like mono red's too fast, so you need to kind of gain advantage over them. You need to run them out of resources, and if they flood the board and they use their resources well, it's really hard for certain decks to keep up. So he's going to use a bolt on our Soul Diviner, and he's going to attack and hit us for about 4, so we're down to 15. So he finishes the turn with Light Up the Stage, so more card advantage for him. He's got a pretty fast start, and he's got a pretty good curve. Not fast enough though. It was more of a turn 3. It was pretty explosive, so not a super fast start, but a definitely powerful hand. With Light Up the Stage, he has 3 more mana from the Steamkin, and he casts a Chain Whirler. So he's got a pretty impressive board presence. At this point, we're extremely far behind, and I would think that it would take a lot for us to win. We can't leave Kefnet on the top, though it's a great blocker. We need a land to play our spells. So we're going to bottom it. Find an island, so we can Vraska's Contempt something, gain some life. The question is, which one do you Contempt? But I'm going to go with Cast Down, though, and go for the Scry instead. Get rid of the Steamkin, go for the Scry, and I'll save the Contempt for anything problematic potentially coming on the 4th drop. So we see land, nothing exciting happening. He goes for the attack. It's a big 6 hit in my face right there. It's a painful hit, going down to 11. Going down to 8. Ooh, what am I talking about? And he finishes his curve with the Chandra Fire Artisan. Brand new War of the Spark tech, I gotta say. I like the build. We're seeing some War of the Spark cards. And I'm gonna go with the Scry right here. It doesn't really matter. I see Liliana. Can't keep Liliana, obviously. And you can kind of tell this game's slipping out of my reach. I'm gonna have to deal with the Chandra or one of these creatures so I can take another hit from all of the board again, but I would need a lot to happen to kind of go my way in the long run. But I'm going to go with the Chandra Fire Artisan. For real, I haven't played against it before this game, so I had to make sure I knew what it did. I pulled it in like a pre-release, but I didn't play with it actually, so get rid of Chandra. And pass the turn. It's not looking good. It's just not looking too good for us right here. It's a long shot that we're going to get out of this one empty hand, or with the win. We're at life total where almost all their spells are lethal. I mean, they're the critical mass deck. So anything they draw is pretty much alive. With the Light Up the Stage, they're pretty much going to find anything that's going to kill us. See where the critics bring us to 1, and I can kind of see the writing on the wall. There's no way I'm going to be able to win. Kind of just sitting it out, letting them do this thing. Because, you know, those less than the percenters, they can still happen. But he's got it all. He's got the shock in his hand, so he finishes us off. Going into sideboard, I put a Finale in. I like the Finale in this matchup, so I put 3 in. And Cry, pretty good wipe the board. It's not really good against Chain Whirler, but I feel like it's better than a few other cards. Enter the God Eternals isn't really good if you're one for oneing with the Vishino Pyromancer or like a Lava Runner. You want to use that on Chain Whirler if it really for be effective. So I'm not gonna bring that in. I think Treasure Map's way too slow here. I don't like the Dread Horde invasion it's good on the play, but not against mono red. Your life is so important. You can't just be sucking your life away. So I take 2 of those out, and I like the top of the curve though, so we're gonna keep that the same. So game 2, we got a pretty decent hand here. We like the Tyrant Scorn, good removal, cast down, good removal, Hostage Taker, take a 3-drop threat. So we definitely like this nice curve. Potentially drawing enough lands in succession, we can play Enter the God Eternals, destroying their 4-drop, and that would be pretty fantastic. We draw a Wizard's Retort. It's kind of awkward if you don't have a perfect curve with a wizard, like Soul Diviner or the 1/4. If you don't have that curve, the Wizard's Retort is just a bad counter spell. It's just bad. It just feels slow in this format. Like, I'd much rather have a Negate or something rather than the 3 mana. It just feels awkward when, especially in this kind of deck, it didn't feel like the mana fit well with the Wizard's Retort. And a lot of the times, you don't have the presence of the board that you want to be able to leave up mana because the deck doesn't really do much on the first and second turn. So when you're playing these faster decks, it's not a very powerful counter spell, but it's better than not having one. So I guess you take that. And there's too many 2-drops anyways. You couldn't play those things main deck. You'd have to board them in. I could see Moment of Craving going into this deck from the sideboard maybe, as opposed to a couple other cards. I kind of like that. There's definitely a few changes. I definitely think the deck is not done. This deck could be definitely changed for the better. And we see a couple Lava Runners, a Pyromancer. We have another Finale of Eternity. We could use the Finale of Eternity if we draw 1 more land. Me, though, not having played this deck too much, doesn't know that I need 4 mana to kill these things, and it has to be at least 2. So we are not going to be able to cast that, and I have to wait a turn to play something that targets it. I could also use cast down still to kill it, make the clock shorter. This is me just kind of figuring out, oh, I can't do that. So we'll see what I do here. I think I might just pass this turn. Keep up cast down in case he plays something really aggressive and fast. I mean, if he throws down something that I'm not expecting, I want to be able to counter it. So we're leaving up Wizard's Retort, we're leaving up cast down. We're going to pass the turn back to the opponent. We're going to be okay with taking at least 2, potentially 4, because if he just casts a spell or 2, he'll have 2 spells in the yard. So Lightning strikes me to 13. Life total's getting important now. It's getting low. You kind of see what he's doing here. We'll see what he's doing. He's got 3 lands. Looks like a Chain Whirler potentially, but we see risk factor. This card is so good. It gets me all the time on Arena. It's just really powerful. Wizards Retort it. We're not going to let him even give us the chance of drawing cards or not. Make him have to discard a card to use it and potentially be able to counter it. So we're going to have to take 2 here from each of the Lava Runners. So we're going to be going to 9. We draw the second land though. Very important. We can just cast Finale of Eternity and wipe the board. Which this spell is bonkers. It is powerful. Very good. I think it's good, but I don't know how many you want. I think it's really good as a one-off. You pull it, and it's board wipe sometimes, and sometimes it's not very good. It's not relevant. So definitely a good sideboard piece, but not always relevant, even out of the board. It's just going to depend on when you get it in the game state. I think a lot has to do with that card, but it's powerful. I mean, the raw power, killing 3 things on the board for 4 mana is really good. We see a Chain Whirler, not too worried about that. We can kill a Chain Whirler pretty easily here, or we can just take it with the Hostage Taker. We don't really want to open up the threat of Hostage Taker dying to removal, and then they get their Chain Whirler back, they get another trigger with the 1 hit, so we don't want Dread Horde Invasion. That is not the right draw right now. We can't kill it with the Finale, so I feel like the safest bet is just to kill it. He's down to 1 card, just kind of run him out of his resources, pass the turn back to him. If we draw another... If they play another threat, we need to draw another land, and then we can Finale, or we can enter the God Eternals, which would be really good. Help us gain more life. An opponent gets us down to 3. 3. That's like the critical life total. I mean, we're dead to a lot of cards in their deck now. We get a Soul Diviner, so it's not a land. We can kill the Pyromancer, and we don't. We just decide to play a Soul Diviner and pass a turn, which is a blocker. I mean, it works. I guess I was saving the finale in case he wanted to go wide, and then he risk factors me, and I have to let him draw cards. So I let him draw 3 cards. He's 2 mana, and if any lightning strike or type spell, that's fine. Like, we're dead. But anything other than that, I'm fine with him playing, because I can Hostage Taker a threat. I can draw a land, potentially enter the God Eternal. So this is important that we drew the land, and we will enter the God Eternals on Runaway Steamkin, and we're gonna mill him. So hit him. Gain 4 life, we're up to 7 now, which is important. We're no longer within deathly range of this. 1 Experimental Frenzy, 1 Lightning Strike, 1 light up the stage. Could find the shock, the Lightning Strike that gets me within lethal. So, Pyromancer, can't attack. We got a 4/4. Great card onto the God Eternals at this point in the game. We're going to draw a card off of it. We don't want to draw a land like we did. We want to draw some action. We do have Hostage Taker, and I'm thinking about playing Hostage Taker here. Definitely can't play Dreadhorde Invasion. I can play Hostage Taker and leave up mana for Wizard's Retort, so that's the plan. We're going to take the Pyromancer, and now we can actually attack with our 5/5, but he just concedes, gives us the wind, and we're going to keep the deck pretty much the same, I believe. I don't think I made any further changes. I felt like this was the correct sideboarding for this matchup. You could see we could potentially bring in, instead of other cards, you could bring in Enter the God Eternal. I don't think that would be wrong, but a lot of the times, if you draw too many of the God Eternals, you kind of get them stuck in your hand, because it's 5 mana. Their threats are cheap. Yours are very expensive to get rid of. One for one, and it's just not worth it. Oh man, that guy's cool. He's got a motorcycle. You can tell he's cool. So, back to the game. Opponent plays Mountain, as expected. Don't see a crazy fast start. No lava runners. We like that. Play him out, or Swamp. Passing the turn. We're going to potentially go for the Thought Erasure turn 2 if he has no deadly play. So a Steamkin is okay, I feel, right now, as long as it doesn't create the mana. I think what's really important is if we rip something out of their hand. So I'm going to get rid of the Steamkin, though, because the Steamkin does create mana, and if they have a chain of spells next turn, potentially can be hitting me for 4 on top of burn damage. So I think that might have been the right play, and it looked like he had some really good gas. He would have been able to make it a 3/3, and it hit me for 2. So that's a huge difference between 2 and 5 damage. So we're going to Thought Erasure them, and they had a Phoenix in their hand, which we get rid of. The rest is all lands. He has Experimental Frenzy, which he'll be able to play next turn, but our life total isn't dangerously low, so we're not too worried about him casting that. He goes for the Frenzy, but he's run out of gas. He has no mana. If we were able to counter this, that would have been the match. He would have probably conceded, but don't have the counter magic, obviously. We need a land here. If we don't draw a land, we're really going to fall far behind, and we don't draw a land. Luckily, we don't have to discard anything. But if he can find a couple, packs of creatures, and maybe a 1/1 Fanatical Firebrand, maybe gets a Lightning Strike, a Chain Whirler on top of each other, that could be huge backbreaking and end my game. So I need to find a land. Cannot fall behind in this against burn, mono red. So finds a Pyromancer, hits me for 2. Opponent has 4 cards in hand. We know one of them, or only one of them, is not a land potentially. We find a land finally. We get a Gleaming Overseer down, and we can block this Pyromancer pretty profitably here. I would block with the Overseer every time, I think. If he kills the Overseer, we have another one. If we draw another land, we can just Hostage Taker, risk factor. Do we care? We let him draw the cards because, Ian. I think I just took unnecessary damage. We don't want to let him draw cards. If he did draw those cards, theoretically, he could take next turn off, and he still has time because we don't have a really relevant clock to use this hand, so I guess it does make sense to tell him no. We have a 4th land, so this is important. We can attack. We don't. We're just going to pass the turn. We want to keep up counter magic. We could have cast down the Pyromancer and left up Counter Magic because Overseer's a wizard. Didn't opt for that though. He didn't want to tap out for for Ketra. Don't think that's really valuable. The Hostage Taker is really vulnerable to Shocking or Lightning Strike. Not Shock, but Lightning Strike. Lava Coil potentially. And getting his creature back gives me 2 more damage, so I don't really want to take it with a Hostage Taker right now with only 4 mana up. And opponent, he is thinking it over. He's in the tank, as they would say. I don't think he really has an option here. He has at least 3 cards in his hand, other than lands. So theoretically, there's probably 2 cards in his hand that aren't lands. And is it worth taking his turn off to destroy this Experimental Frenzy and destroying his card draw to play those 2 cards? Like, is he going to be able to race me now? Is he going to be able to get the last damage in? I mean, I think if it's 2 Lightning Strikes, he needs to keep the Frenzy for another turn. Because he can destroy it and play a land, and he can cast a Lightning Strike. Theoretically, he thinks he's a long time, because I have no relevant clock. He is just thinking about it, man. Thinking about it. Huh. The other thing we could do is, if I tapped out for Oketra, I'd have huge advantage if I drew Enter the God Eternal to be able to really 2-for-1 them. But he decides on Shock, so he's going to shock me for 2. He finds that on the top. He hasn't destroyed the Frenzy yet. He can still destroy it. He plays Legion Warboss. That's a counter. We're countering that. So right here, get rid of him. Don't let him even resolve that. Don't let him have half a turn with it. Get out of there. 1 card, or 1 mana left open. The card in this deck is more than 1 mana. We're going to get rid of the Pyromancer on his turn. Find a Watery Grave. 5th mana. I could play this, go to 5, and have that up, but it doesn't make sense because it's not an instant. So 4 mana, play that. We can play Gleaming Overseer now, build the 2/2, make a little bit of damage, make a clock, I mean, make him have some sort of pressure. This is where you're gonna start dealing the burn opponent some damage. Theoretically, next turn we can play Kefnet, and if they play a creature, even if it's a 2/1, we'll probably enter the God Eternals, and then it's 3-turn clock and he's done for. So he's pretty much in a horrible situation. He is extremely far behind now. He just doesn't know it yet, I think. He still has 6 cards in his hand. 6 cards, at least, that aren't lands. Pretty good. 7 now. And he's got to destroy this. There's no way that the 7 cards in his hand are worth the card advantage that this could provide, potentially. So I would destroy this, but he finds a Steamkin, which could potentially be a blocker if you find another blocker. And it would be big, potentially. Give you 4/4, create mana. I don't know if I would do this. I mean, it'd be interesting to know his hand. But those 7 cards, I'd find it hard to think that those 7 cards could be better than a Steamkin. Could be wrong, though. Could be wrong. Could be like 6 lands, and then like a 1/1 Fanatical Firebrand or something. So it depends. But I'm not sure. We say okay. And what else is on top of his deck? We'll see. With 3 mana up, he can play a few things. Chain Whirler doesn't hurt us. We can block a Chain Whirler. Lightning Strike doesn't bother us. Lava Coil, it's not really a big deal. Can't play Dreadhorde Invasion again. Terrible draw late in the game. And I'm going to go with Kefnet here. Or no, I'm going to enter the God Eternals. That's definitely the easy play. He has no creature, board presence. I gain life, go to 11, feel much safer. Get this 6/6, get this crazy clock. Just that one card, that one play, completely swung the game in my favor, no matter what he does now. Because he needs to play 2 creatures with this Frenzy that can block this guy and survive, potentially, or find a way to cast a spell, get rid of that 6/6, or else he loses in 2 turns. And he's got 8 cards in his hand. He's got to take a turn off to destroy my Frenzy, or destroy the Frenzy. So he's going to shock me to 9. And then he's going to destroy the Frenzy. 1 card, or 1 mana, plays a Lava Runner. It's a 2/2. He can't attack with it. That's fine. Wizard's Retort, counter anything he does after this. Hit for 6. All right, pretty good game plan. Don't even bother playing the God or Hostage Taker. Doesn't really matter. We're gonna hit for 6, pass his turn, counter anything he does. That would kill us. He can play a second blocker. I wouldn't be that mad. Be kind of disappointed, maybe. He plays a War Boss. We don't want to play a War Boss. No War Bosses here. No more War Boss. Then he's got a Pyromancer. That's fine. If he wants to live, he would have to double block the Menace, the token, and that sucks for him because he'll probably be extremely far behind. Soul Diviner, not bad. I could play that and take a counter off and draw a card, but Hostage Taker's the easy choice for the play here. It's an easy win. Play Hostage Taker, take a Lava Runner or Pyromancer, and then swing for 6 hit for the game. I mean, Lava Coil doesn't do it. There's nothing in their deck that will save them from this, I think. They can't Lightning Strike anything to fizzle it. There's nothing they can do. How does anybody like Sealed? Sealed, I've been enjoying Sealed. I played a lot of Draft on MTGO for War of the Spark. I think it's fun. It's fun, but it's not fun when your opponent pulls a God and you don't. That's what I think. He's making an illegal block because he's a cheater Pumpkin Eater. Can't have that. And he double blocks correctly, killed both his creatures. This game's pretty much locked up for us, I'd say. Unless he has running burn spells, which would suck. I think I pretty much got it. Pretty much got it in the bag. It's a slam dunk, as they would say. He's got Risk Factor, though. Forgot about this. Didn't even remember he had it. You're not gonna fool me. So no. I said no. And he draws all the cards he wants. But he can't kill me. A little stressful, because I thought he might be able to kill me. Risk Factor, at this point in the game, when he had 3 or 4 cards in hand, that was scary. I thought we had it locked up, and then he Risk Factored me out of nowhere. I was scared. I was scared for my life. Opponent's got a lot of lands. Not ideal. Kind of flooded. 3 mana, another Risk Factor. He is only 2 mana though, so I'll let him draw cards. I don't care. Let him draw cards. He draws Lightning Strike, fantastic. Hit me to 4, I'll kill you. There's just nothing he can do to win. He had to draw multiple Lightning Strikes or Shocks off that. So we're just going to go into the next game. This game was pretty interesting. Very grindy. Don't think I show all 3 games, but we did win the match. The shit's crazy though. So I mulligan to 6. No, I can't keep this. Not acceptable. Send it back. 5 man. This isn't bad. And enter the God Eternals. As much as that card is powerful, can't keep it there. Put a swap down, pass the turn. See what the opponent's up to on the other side of the table. See what they're doing over there. Might be interesting. Opponent plays a Guildgate. Pretty spicy. Could be interesting. Who knows? Some Golgari Guildgate. I was like, oh, look at that Guildgate. Look how pretty it is. Pass the turn to me. Invasion. This is where Invasion's good. When you're on the play, and it's the second freaking turn. When you've not lost any life. When you lose life, it sucks. No one wants to be at 5 and draw this card. So I have a love-hate relationship with this card because I always draw it when I need Liliana or Vraska's Contempt. I draw this spell. It's not that good. It's okay. It's okay on the play. That's what I feel like. Think Turn Invasion is not very good. Pay 1, make a board presence though. Pretty cool. Not bad. Thought Erasure. See what they're up to. Look for a land so we can counter everything they do. That's the plan. Flibbleflip. This is some spicy sauce. Look at this. Citrus range. No. Archway Angel. He's playing the Gate stack with Flibbleflip. And get this. Spiciness. You're going to see it later. It's cool. So I just take Flibbleflip because he's an easy card draw. I can't really remove him once he's on the board. So just take him. The Angel's 2 drops away. I'm hopefully going to counter it potentially. Or take it away with Auto Erasure the next turn. If he doesn't draw something better than that, I'm not that worried about the ramp spell. He can play it. This sucks that he drew this after I Thought Erasered him. This is like the card that makes this deck work. Every time he plays a freaking gate, he gets to draw like 8,000 cards. It's not fair. That's what I think. So make it a 2/2. I'm at 18. We're about to hit him to 18. I guess that's value. That's pretty cool. We're gonna fill out erasure again because we don't have a blue source to counter all of our opponent's things. We're gonna take the angel. Treasure map. This is interesting. You can keep treasure map and fix future draws, but does it matter? Does it matter at all to keep treasure map there? That's what I was debating. I did not think it was worth keeping treasure map there. I want to draw an actual land. I want to just find a blue source naturally off that surveil. I don't think that I should have tried to done it another way. I think I like what I did there. Hit him for 2, bring him to 18, get that value off that Dreadhorde Invasion, baby. That's how we do it. Guild Summit, though, will draw our opponent more cards, so I'm sure he won't be doing nothing for long. He plays a Breeding Pool, which I thought was interesting because he has a Guild Gate in his hand, which could draw him a card. Wouldn't you want to draw a card? I guess he's going to do that when he gets this the route card. When he gets this resolved, he'll be able to draw more cards, so I guess that's probably a good play. But like, why not just draw more cards? Why not draw 3 cards instead of 2 cards? I mean, Breeding Pool is just as good as one of those Guild Gates once it untaps. Maybe he needs double green for something. I don't know. I don't play the Gates deck. It's kind of fun, though. It looks fun. It looks dirty. And I can't deal with it, obviously, so it's probably pretty good naturally, because I'm just a great Magic player that makes mistakes all the time. We're going to hit him for 3, bring him to 13, and look at this. Counter City with no way to counter anything. I'm doomed. Look at this. I'm looking at my own demise. In my hand, 3 Wizard's Retort. That's a lot of blue mana. That's 6 blue mana. Look at my board. I have 1 blue source, but I have the Dreadhorde Invasion. It'll get there. The value. He's at 13. He can't handle the Dreadhorde. He's got all of the Guild Gates, but he can't stop the invasion. He draws so many cards, but I can't stop the drawing of cards. But he can probably stop the Dreadhorde Invasion. I don't really know, honestly, how I feel about the Dreadhorde Invasion. I think it's really good in the play. It's terrible on the draw. If they're pressuring you and you play this, you're screwed. So yeah, Gates Ablaze is my 0 mana spell. Kills it, just ruins it. But good thing about Dreadhorde Invasion, it's going to come back next turn, but it's going to be his little brother. And he's going to put in the work for us. So we're down to 15. We get a 1/1. That's fine. We really would appreciate an island, potentially, but we find a Tyrant Scorn, which I guess is good. It's not terrible. It's not really relevant. They don't have a lot of things that are less than 4 mana that are creatures. Potentially, if he plays an angel, we can put it back in their hand if we draw a blue source and then counter it. Potentially. We don't have the mana for that right now. So he draws a lot more cards. Opponent's been drawing, he's seen so many more cards. And he just hasn't found enough creatures for threats. We're kind of just dirtling along, waiting to hit our mana drops, you know? 6 mana, this is where your heart starts racing. They play the Archway Angel. He's going to gain a lot of life. So now our Dreadhorde Invasion feels bad. But we're going to bounce it back to his hand, and then we're going to counter it. Hopefully. So that's the play we're setting up. We're going to put it back in his hand, and yes, he gains a lot of life, but we can counter the Angel so that it won't be on the board at all, which... I'm 2 for 1 in my hand, but I need to not let a 3/4 flyer be on the board because I don't have any action or anything to deal with it in my hand other than counter spells. So we were able to put it back in his hand and do the one thing that we can interact with our opponent, which is counter their spells. But thank God we found another swamp. That's what we just needed. So I concede in Rage. And we would have found a blue spell a couple turns later. I don't know if it would have been enough. I think he would have been able to outvalue us. So... Cast Down comes in for the removal of the Angels or the Giant that they play. That's like a Colossus 8/8. I put in Narset because they draw a lot of cards with Gilpack Summit. If I have Narset, they can't do that. They just draw 1 card. So that's a good one to bring in. So what are you going to cut for this? I think that the Soul Diviner is so useless. It doesn't do much. So we'll take a couple out at least for this matchup. I think Treasure Map isn't bad in this matchup because it's slower. but I don't want 4. I don't think 4 is the right number for treasure map. I think it's kind of weak in this format. We can't keep that, we go to 6. Can't keep it. This is the last interesting game. The third game, which I wanted, our opponent really didn't do anything the whole time. Everything he played I killed, and I played Enter the God Eternals on like a 3-3, and I just finished him off in like a couple turns. So this is the last interesting game. We see Narset in action in this game. We see the sideboard tech do its thing. And it's a grindy one. It's a slugfest, as some would say. Another beautiful Golgari Guildgate. Just beautiful. We don't find a land. It's the risky 6 card hand, 1 land keep because you hate MTGO for giving you 1 land every time. So there's gotta be one on the top of the deck, right? Let's run the risky odds. Because this hand could maybe work if I find a land. So turn 2, we do nothing. But thank God, we find a land on turn 3. We're gonna play treasure map. We need to try to be able to fix our draws. We need to guarantee a land. We need to play with Narset. Narset is so good in this matchup. So good. It's like a 2. It's like playing an Augur Bolas that means that that hurts our opponent's game plan, which is crazy. So Watery Grave for our opponent passes a turn. Or the Guildgate. It's not even a Watery Grave. It's a Watery Grave Guildgate. No land. We don't care. We just need a land. That's not a land. We're gonna scry it away. The other potential thing we can do with treasure map is flip it and cast spells with it. So we want to hopefully do that later and not resort to using the treasure instead for mana to draw us cards. But can't have everything you want. And he's just ramping. He's looking for more guild gates so that when he plays Guild Summon, he can draw more cards. And he can play Archway Angel, gain more life, make the game more out of our reach until he finds an 8/8 that can kill everything. It's kind of that's the Gates plan. That's not a bad plan, I guess. Pretty slow though. Pretty freaking slow. So we draw for Raska's Contempt. Fantastic draw when you need lands. Somehow I'm still not dead. It's turn 5 and I've played 2 lands. Done nothing. I find a land finally. Keep it right on top. If we draw this land, we can play Narset. And we can still totally screw our opponent up. So I don't feel like I'm out of this game yet at all, even though he's way ahead of me on mana. I'm not worried about it right now, honestly. He plays Flibblefip. He's getting some more cards, seeing more cards, which is fine. He draws a card. It's Elvish Visionary in blue. I'm not too worried about an Elvish Visionary right now. I got 20 life, and they don't really threaten your life total in the Gates deck really almost ever. You're never really that worried about it, And so we need a land right here, now and ever. We're going to upkeep scry a land because we need it that bad. We find it, we make sure we flip this and gain more mana. We can play many things. Play this land. We have 2 mana. Sacrifice a treasure, play Narset. Make sure you can't draw any more cards. Use the Augur Bolas-esque ability. Find a good spell and pass a turn. I think it's the play. Don't you think? Could be the play. So here comes Narset out of nowhere. Our opponent's probably shooketh. They're like, he found so many. Where did this mana come from? Who did this? Enter the God Eternals. Whatever. I can play next turn though. That's pretty cool. I can play God of the Eternals. Enter the God Eternals. Gain 4 life. Make a 4/4. That's pretty sweet. And I passed the turn feeling pretty good about life. Pretty good. Coming back out of nothing. Opponent attacks Narset. I'm like, come on, attack me. Attack my life. Narset's good. I like Narset. I think she's pretty spicy. She's a pretty spicy walker girl. So I think he wants off the board because if he has a Guild Summon in his hand, he needs Narset to be off the board to win. There's no other way around it. He's going to play an Archway Angel though, which is kind of, it's annoying because he gains 1,000,000 life, but it's a threat we can handle pretty easily. He gains 8 life. Not the most devastating thing. So we could just enter the God Eternals, destroy the Archway Angel, make a board presence, and then just pass the turn, keeping the ability to not let him play a Guild Summit. Or if he does play a Guild Summit, he doesn't get the maximum value out of it until he kills our Narset, which we have a backup in hand of. Not even worried about it. We're going to mill them too, which will be effective. But what are we doing? What am I thinking, Ian? Enter the God Eternals, but I have to cast the right mana. I gotta use the right spell and the right thing with the right mana. So we're gonna hit the Archway Angel, get our opponent down to not a 28 still, but kill Archway Angel, mill 4 cards into his graveyard, and then potentially use Narset. So here I'm gonna use Narset, just get another one, get my third Narset, pass the turn. I think Narset is still better than a Thought Erasure maybe, or a Gleaming Overseer right now, so I don't mind discarding Gleaming Overseer and having a second Narset, because I'm planning on next turn slamming another Narset, doing the same ability, look for another threat, and look for a way to lock up the game better. To take the control of the game more, I guess I would say. At 24 life, I feel very comfortable. I'm not worried about my opponent casting anything in this deck. I feel like I have an answer for almost all their threats, and he didn't have an aggressive enough start to really scare me now. I'm kind of been able to climb back into the game. So it's not too bad. We're not doing too bad right now. I think we're doing okay for ourselves. Opponent casts the Fictitious Route. Not sure. I'm gonna stop embarrassing myself. Growth Spiral. Draw a card. Put it on the battlefield. Go for it. He's got a lot of mana that's tapped. No Guild Summit. Just a Flibblethip and 7 cards in hand. I want to know what opponent's hand looks like. How are you doing nothing this much? It's pretty impressive. I need another land. That'd be cool. Dreadhorde Invasion. That's not that bad. I could play that and then play a Narset. That's a pretty good follow-up play to a Dreadhorde Invasion, I think. We could also Tyrant Scorn the Flip and put it in the library and make him shuffle everything. I think the play, though, you could also Thought Erasure them, look for another land, but we're going to sack the treasure, look for another land, play Tyrant Scorn on Flibblethip. I think that this was a misplay here. I think I should have just Thought Erasured my opponent and played Dreadhorde Invasion, because he just shuffles in, and it's a 1/1 that couldn't even attack me, so it was silly. But we're going to Thought Erasure our opponent, and he's got Scapeshift and Bolas' Citadel. Look at this spice out of the Gates deck. So I'm like, holy crap. And I don't want him to kill everything, and I see the win con is he's going to try to mill me out. Like, what? Who is this? Whose man's is this? So we just take the Jace. And I think that's one of the only win cons for his deck. He's got Gates Ablaze to kill my stuff, fine. Bolas' Citadel is kind of scary, but it was relevant because he's got 2. So why take one? Take one of the things that will affect his game plan the hardest, you know? So we know for a fact that this thing's done. It's done for. It's his turn. He could get Gates Ablaze it, or he could play Bolas' Citadel. So now he can look at the top card of his library and play it using his life total. And this is where the deck is interesting, but I think that the Bolas' Citadel is not good in this deck. It runs so many lands. The chance that you just run into 2 lands and you can't play a second land, it just ruins the whole flow of the deck. Like, you want to be playing a critical mass of creatures. That way, I like the Explore build much better, where you play an Explore creature and then you gain life with Wildgrowth Walker, so the Bolas' Citadel hits don't hurt so much. So I feel like this build is spicy, but I don't think it is. I think it's kind of hurting itself. It's not making it as efficient. You could have better threats in your deck. This is also really spicy. He masterminds acquisitions. This is like an arena player right here playing MTGO. He masterminds acquisitions, something, which is scary. We don't know what he acquisitioned. So we plays Flibblethip. That's fine. He draws a card. We don't care. He's tapped out. But the Bolas' Citadel is just sitting out there. It was 2 cards, I think. He probably played it with Citadel. So, passes the turn to us. We draw. Oh, come on, Ian. Click the button. Click the button. You can do it. There we go. Drowned Catacomb. So we get another land. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 mana. So we can play Narset. And we can play Looming Overseer or Dreadhorde Invasion. It all depends. So at 24, I feel like I need to have a board presence. I play Dreadhorde Invasion. I don't feel like I can't not play it yet. And I can play Narset now, or I could Vraska's Contempt. I could do a bunch of things, but I think that this is better than Gleaming Overseer. Not that worried about the Flibble Flip. So we're gonna look for a good spell. Wizard's Retort is not bad. That could be relevant. If he finds a real threat, maybe we can counter it. He kind of just has to pass the turn to us and not play a crazy amount of shit with his Bolas's Citadel. And this is turn 9, and we're both at 20, above 20 still. So both our decks doing almost nothing. Just trying to outvalue each other right now. It's a value race. See who wins. Oh, a Gift of Paradise comes down. And a Breeding Pool. And it's tapped. So we know opponent's hand is got Scapeshift in it. He used the route. He's in another Citadel and another Gates Ablaze. So even if I create a board presence, he can easily Gates Ablaze. He's gonna hit the Narset here to kill it, essentially, because if I want to use another activation, I'll just kill it. He's probably. I'm worried about Bolas's Citadel. Like if he had just found an Archway Angel with the Bolas's Citadel, cast it, take 6, go to 15, gain like 7. I mean, I'm screwed. But the thing he tutored for was Nazahal, I think, which is really easy to answer. I'm just gonna Contempt it. Gain 2 life, and he kind of as long as he doesn't counter it. He left up certain mana, and it kind of scared me because it's blue, and that naturally means no thank you. Put that back in your graveyard, please. I don't want to see that. So I want to do that to you though. So you gotta let me do that. He goes for Mastermind's Acquisition. This is also scary. I'm like, what is he tutoring? If he's got Citadel, what's his game plan? Like, he's trying to achieve multiple wins. Like, why not just use Citadel's value engine? Try to get 10 permanents. Like, abuse that. Why are you acquisitioning for Nezahals? Or is that a main deck Nezahal? And then if that's the main deck Nezahal, what are you looking for? This was very confusing, but very spicy. Interesting deck. It was fun to play against because you just don't know exactly what the opponent's doing. You're kind of trying to make your best guess at what the opponent is going to do, predicting like what kind of card will he brought in, what's the right play right now, And I think that Liliana is probably the right play. Got to see the Dreadhorde General in action. We're going to -2 her, or -4 her. Make Nezahal go way bye-bye. Make our opponent potentially have to discard cards if they don't play a lot of them next turn. But we get to draw a card too. We draw a land, pretty irrelevant. And I'm just going to spend our set potentially here. No, we're not going to do that. Our set, I think, is more valuable on the board. I agree with that play. If we had spent her, we would be giving away that ability that they can just draw more cards. And that's not, we don't want them to do that. No more cards, please. So, opponent. He's looking to play something. He's got 6 mana, 7 mana, 8 mana. We're gonna die. That's what's going through my head. Everything's sideways. He took control of my Liliana and my Narset. He really is mad at me. I feel like this is even still, though. I can still fight this. I can just Contempt my Liliana, and who cares if I can't draw more than one hand or land a turn, or card a turn, and he plays Guild Summit, so screw you, bro. Bro, what are you doing playing Guild Summit? So now he's really kind of completely come up underneath my deck, and totally switcherooed the game plan here. I thought I was about to take complete control of the game. Turns out, he is going to play a lot of things, take my things, and just ruin my game. Ruin it. Plays the Angel. These decks are cool. You feel really helpless without Artifact Hate. There's no Artifact Hate at all in this deck. It's like counter the Citadel, or it's coming down and it's going to be there the whole game. So it's like I felt so helpless while he did this. He's just running into these off the top of his deck. Like, his hand's not changing. He only has 21 cards in his hand. So I was just a little, like, kind of blown away that, like, he's doing all these things and he only has 18 cards in his deck. And so I'm kind of thinking it over, like, what the game plan is. I still have 23 life. He's drawing a lot of cards. Potentially, if I want to win this game, I'm going to have to get rid of Liliana because it's going to make a board presence I can't handle. So we're going to contempt Liliana and gain 2, take a huge hit from the creatures on the board, enter the God Eternals and Angel, block the 2/2, and we're just taking 3. So that's the hopeful, fingers crossed, pray to the Lord that that's what happens. So opponent passes back to us. We're looking for something good at the top. Opponent loses a life, or opponent, a wish. I lose a life, get a 1/1. So we have that advantage also. We also have Tyrant Scorn, pretty good, just get rid of the token. So there's a few things we can do. I'm kind of thinking over if I want to maybe play Narset and look for a more answer, but it doesn't make sense to play Narset. I have answers in my hand. I need to use those answers before I try to look up for something else. And I have a good hand. I have a hand that can get out of this. And I was super close to playing Narset, but I was going to play Contempt. You just got to get rid of Liliana, because Liliana is impossible to deal with. Plus up with Liliana, get another zombie, and the board is huge now. I don't have enough removal spells to deal with the board, so I'm going to Tyrant Scorn potentially, or I can just play Narset and make those guild summons useless. And I think that's also ideal. If I just do that, though, he can just attack and kill it, and then play guilds and draw more cards. And looking at his hand, the total of cards in his deck, we kind of don't care if he draws more cards. He could potentially mill himself by just playing a few lands. So we just gotta pass the turn back to the opponent with Wizard's Retort up. Gonna counter anything they do. We're gonna let him draw all the cards in the world, but if they decide to, we're gonna take this hit because we're at 24. So if they decide to attack us, we don't really care. We'll take the damage. But if they play a chase, we lose. So we need to make sure that we counter anything that they do that's really consequential to our game plan. Opponent does what we think, attacks for 8. We can take 8 though. We're gonna go to 16. Not too bad. We're gonna block easily. I mean, we're just gonna get it back anyways. We're gonna be taking almost the same amount of damage. So it doesn't really make a difference if I did this. So I probably could have just not blocked. But alas. Instead of being at 16, I'm at 18, and I'll be at 17 next turn. So I guess it doesn't really make a difference. Then he can't attack me, but I'd be at 16, so it's that 1 damage. Archway Angel is definitely a target for Wizard's Retort. Don't want that on the board. Don't want him gaining more life. And I think that I wanted that to be the last one. There's only 11 cards left in his deck. He might have a third in his hand. He's got Growth Spiral, so he's got a huge hand. He's going to draw more cards. My board's empty. I just have a Dreadhorde Invasion. So he's going to be able to potentially really hurt us next turn, but I haven't entered the God Eternal so we can make his board less intimidating. And if he plays more lands or more things using Bolas's Citadel, he's probably going to cost himself drawing too many cards. But the other thing we have to worry about is him activating Citadel and dealing 10 to us by sacrificing 10 permanents. But he only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He only has 9, and we are at 18, so he'd have to sacrifice all of his permanents on the board other than his lands, and that's just not enough. So we're going to make his count smaller, though, because if he is able to chain into multiple cards, that's the other thing is I don't understand why you play Citadel if you can't use that ability to deal 10 by sacrificing, if you know the crazy value of the deck, whatever you're playing, you know. But we're gonna enter the God Eternals, one of the Archangels, and we're gonna play. We could play Glooming Overseer now, or Narset, and we're gonna go with Narset. Put it on the board. Don't let him draw any more cards from the guild summits. He only has 4 cards in his deck, and I want to look and find a better answer with Narset. So that's why we played it. We're going to find Wizard's Retort, put it in our hand. If anything he finds next turn, if he can somehow not draw enough cards next turn, then we can counter anything he does a follow-up turn, where he will definitely be out of cards. so we're not too worried about it. I'm not that worried. If he has Jace this turn, we're pretty terrified. It's pretty much game. I'd have to be able to hit Jace, so I'd have to be able to. I could bounce the Angel back to his hand, play Overseer, and get through to Jace. So it's not devastating, but it's scary. I don't want to see it. I'd rather just counter it. Opponent is at 3 cards on the deck, and he plays a Plaza, which is a gate, I think. No, it's just a land. No gate from us. Doesn't draw a card. Gains 3 life, though. He's at 24. Opponent's playing more spells. From hand, though, plays Gift of Paradise. Gains more life. Enchants a land. He has so much mana. I think he definitely has more than 10 permanents. He can hit me for 10, but now I'm at 21. Now 20. So he'd have to sacrifice 20 permanents, and he just doesn't have enough to be able to pull off that kill. So he's got to deal damage to us in the air with the 3/4 or the 2/2, or have a Jace. Basically, he's trusting that Jace gets him the win.